Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. We are back today with part 3 of introducing the Jacksons. Back to the basics, the Jacksons Rewind Edition, counting on and on. MollyGoLightly Edition, interview number 2. This was streamed on August 1st, 2022. If you're just picking up on this case right now, we are discussing the 29-year-old Marine veteran Marvon McRae, who is currently in a coma in Tucson, Arizona. The Jacksons are Marvon's biologic father, Marvon Sr., and his stepmom, Wynette Jackson. An alleged incident took place on the 23rd of May, which left Marvon sadly in a coma in Arizona. Marvon McRae is the husband of social media influencer Dre McRae. Marvon McRae was adopted as a child by his maternal great grandmother and great grandfather. His great grandfather has since passed away. Marvon McRae's adoptive mother is still alive, his great grandmother, yet she has health conditions preventing her from making the trip from Georgia to Arizona. In the last video, we discussed a little bit about their first interview, mostly just let them speak for themselves. Today, we're going to go over their second interview that they did with MollyGoLightly. Some of the things are changed a little bit in this interview, but we're just going to go over and rehash what they're rehashing. Again, this was actually streamed August 1st. The Jacksons did travel to Arizona the 18th of June through about the 26th of June. So they did visit Marvon back in the middle of June. Marvon Sr. and his wife were introduced to social media by Dre McRae as she was streaming live when they showed up at the VA hospital to see Marvon Jr. She did not know they were coming, obviously, and of course she was streaming while this happened, and the shock was evident. Creators keep picking apart that Dre absolutely knew that that was his dad and his stepmom, yet I think people are really confused because it's evident, even in what Wynette is saying, that Dre looked like she saw a ghost. Creators have been alleging that Dre absolutely knew that that wasn't Letitia, that was his father and stepmother, yet I disagree with that. In my opinion, she was caught off guard and did not know. From following what she herself has said, also what the family has said, I don't think she had any idea because there has been such limited face to face interaction between these people before this time. Not only that, but the limited amount of time that they have spent together in the past has been years previous to this. But let's get into their second interview. I'm going to cut this one a little bit more voiceover than the last one. The third one is pretty much going to be me talking because it's the same stuff rehashed. Let's go.
Well, say hello. There's 1,800 people.
Hi, everybody doing? Thank y'all for y'all support.
Okay.
I think this interview must have been scheduled, but it cracks me up because if you look at Molly, she's in a lime green bra and a sweater. Looks like she just rolled out of bed, and I don't know if this what I would assume it was scheduled, but she looks completely caught off guard. Let's go.
Do you want to look at the chat, or do you want me to? All right. So, any questions? So I wanted to ask you, sir. When you first got to the VA hospital.
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
All right. So when you first got to the VA hospital, and you were denied access to your son, how exactly did that make you feel at that moment? Like, were you exhausted already?
I was really mad, but it wasn't going to stop me from seeing him, though. Especially after I came all that way, it wasn't going to stop me from seeing him. I was going to end up calling the police and wait there until they get there and explain to them. I was going to call the news people from there, though, if that was the case, though.
Oh, wow.
I already had that made up in my mind. I was going to call the news people and I was going to call the police.
I would have to.
I'm going to go ahead and drop a trigger warning now because there is discussion about unaliving in this video, so if you are sensitive to that topic, please do exit the video now. Most of you have heard everything that will be said previously if you've been following this story, yet I really need to strongly advise if this is the topic that bothers you, please take the warning and exit the video now. Also, if you do need to talk to somebody, remember to call 988 at any time. They're always available.
I guess something that we all want to know is, how does it feel to have a son who's, so in such critical condition and being denied the privilege to see?
That's one of the worst feelings it is. That's like one of the worst feelings that a parent can have. And that's my oldest son. It don't matter if it's my oldest or my youngest. That's one of the worst feelings that a parent can have. And then being denied by someone that's supposed to love my son, I don't understand it.
Again, just a reminder, this was filmed on August 1st. Marvon Sr. and Wynette had traveled to Arizona the middle of June. Father's Day weekend till about the 26th of June is when they visited Marvon McRae in the hospital in Tucson.
It just was no understanding, but I still kept my cool, and I just been patient, and it paid off because when they came back, they let me see him anyway. But they just couldn't give me no information about how he was doing or is he doing any better or not. They couldn't give me no information because of a family plan.
Thankfully, when the Jacksons traveled to Arizona to see Marvon, he was still located at the VA hospital. He has since been moved to another hospital, and because of the family pass, they are not allowed to get medical information.
How does that make you feel that you can't get any information on your son's condition?
Oh, it's still making me really know how he's doing right now, and I cannot call to the hospital because they don't release no information to me, especially over the telephone. And again, I think he still gotta have a family pass, so I'm still in the blind right now.
I know that the biologic family has stated that they do not have communication with Dre at this time. I wonder if they were able to communicate with her while they were at the hospital. That's never really been clarified. If there was anything set up for future information.
To ask a very personal question, but why do you think that this young lady who was married to this year?
Again, please exit the video if you are sensitive to topic discussion about unaliving. The line of questioning that they're asking is very leading to disprove or prove their theories that they have came up with on their social media platforms with their followings. It is very direct leading questioning, trying to seek and invoke certain emotions and answers from the victim's father. And these creators refer to Marvon Jr. as the victim.
You're the grandfather. Why do you think she doesn't want anyone to know how he's doing?
Because I think she's trying to cover up something. She's trying to hide something.
You think she's hiding something?
Yeah, I think she's hiding something. Don't want us to know about it.
If you notice, as he's answering questions, he says, I think I've heard a lot. That's usually what he starts his answers with, because 99% of their information has came from social media and the creators that have been discussing this with the family.
About her spitting on her hands and rubbing it on his face, talking about this message inside her saliva and all that. There's just something crazy. It's just something going on, and you know, by the doctor not going to give you no question about what was in his blood when they took his blood, what was in it, and you know, because she got me a block pass from that, so they couldn't give me no information on that neither. So she's hiding something from us that she don't want us to know about.
We have all seen the video of Dre putting her saliva on Marvon and also telling her social media following what she's doing. By doing that is passing messages. You can have your own beliefs there. I will leave my opinions out.
I think the person is an EMT. They are asking about if he knows around about where the marks on the neck was, because I think they're saying, like, as an EMT, they know where they should be for it to make sense for what they said happened. So did he see those marks?
Can you point at where it was on the neck?
EMT see it?
Where when you were at the hospital, was his was it around his neck down here by the trachea?
It was around his neck, like the same way you would wear a necklace. That's how it was, except it wasn't in the back. It just was from one side of his neck all the way around to the other side, and it's like it was just healing, like the new skin was trying to grow back.
Again, I understand why they're asking this question, because they're trying to get details for their theories. However, this is what they call the victim's father, right? It's his biologic father. And it seems so out of touch with reality to be asking him questions about his son potentially unaliving himself in the manner that was done also. It just seems so disconnected.
It was under the throat. It was like under the throat, all the way around to one side, all the way to the other side.
Okay, can you point where it was, like on your neck?
Can you point to your neck where you saw it, where his injuries are?
From right here, all the way around.
Can you see where?
Okay, so he went like where? From here all the way down to here.
Please remember while listening to this that what Marvon Sr. is describing was about a month old when he saw him. The incident occurred May 23rd, 2022. Marvon Sr. left Georgia June 18th, 2022 and arrived about the 22nd of June. These injuries had been healing for about a month at that time when he did see them. So the accurate description of what the injuries looked like the day of the incident or a week after, we don't know.
Very interesting. Did you notice anything about his feet?
Oh, I didn't really know nothing about his feet because I looked at his feet and I rubbed them, but I didn't really notice anything about his feet because you know they wash them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They give him a little sponge bath, so they
Yeah.
probably could have washed them. I don't know. So I didn't really notice too much about his feet. I just asked him to be moving his toes and all for me if he could hear me. Sometimes he'll like move it a little bit. And you know, I used to ask him, is he breathing on his own? They said he was breathing slightly on his own because he'll take like a deep breath and then he'll let it out. So they say it could be voluntary or involuntary. That means the machine could have been doing it or he could have been doing it on his own. But they said the machine was doing most of his breathing for him.
Really?
Again, the question about the feet is a very specific theory that people have been discussing on their panel discussions in depth over and over again of if it was an unaliving attempt, it would be this or that. So that's where this goes.
So since then, they've taken it off. They've taken him off of the ventilator, ventilator,
Yes.
and they've taken the trachea out. So Marvon can just breathe.
On his own. That's a blessing. I was so thankful to hear that. Yes, that was a blessing.
As far as Marvon being able to breathe on his own, from my understanding, he still has a trach and he is using supplemental oxygen with the trach. He's not fully breathing on his own, as it's been
What
said.
about the arm? Ask about the arm, Marissa.
Oh yeah. So in the police report, they say something about abrasions on his left arm that they look like.
Yes, he had some scratch marks or something like that on his arm because I was looking at his fingers and all. He had some scratch marks on his arm.
Scratches.
Yes, ma'am.
Like it could have been a knife wound.
Not that I could have tell because when we got down there, it could have healed a little bit because it was like he was in the hospital like 3 weeks before.
Yeah.
Before his wife put it on Instagram and social media, he was in there already 3 weeks before.
To stop right here and correct some misinformation, Dre actually told her supporters on May 28th. She did delete the live afterwards, but they did know the 28th. Public didn't find out until the beginning of June. Family, the 13th.
Did you notice any
of
marks
June.
on his hands, maybe? Like on his hands?
Yes, I noticed some scratch marks on his hands.
And I know many of you are thinking, I just heard all the same stuff in the last video. Are you sure this is a different interview? Yep, it's number 2. Just wait till number 3. It gets even better.
When he do make a full recovery, I hope he just come down here. I guess me and his mother probably will get him to come down here so he can have somebody to look after him so he won't have to be all up there alone by himself no more.
Aw.
Yeah.
You guys are willing to care for him?
Oh, yes, ma'am, definitely.
Aw.
I understand the optimism that the dad is trying to have, but I think people need to start understanding the reports that have been put out even by Dre and the family are bleak.
I know I didn't be, but I worked through it. God make a way.
God will make a way. Are you in contact with the Yuma police?
No, ma'am. I was in contact with the human detective, but I'm supposed to be waiting on someone to get back in contact with me because they said that they're trying to get in contact with the investigator to try to get the case open back up. So I'm waiting on that now.
Okay.
Because when I talked to the detective, I got Bradford or something like that. But when I had talked to him when I was up there in Tucson, Arizona, he told me that they did the investigation and they seen that it was no foul play. But he kept telling us like, just look at the police report, read the police report like he wanted us to read it. And he said get back in contact with him because some things in the police report is right. So that's why he kept telling me, read the police report. Wait till you read the police report to get back with me. So he been basically telling me that he wanted me to go further, but he wanted us to go further with it because you always can open the investigation back up. So because he been telling me some things that she didn't want to tell the police, that the police been asking her. And then in the police report, they got a whole lot of things blanked out that's not
Redacted.
Not supposed to be released to the public eye.
Right. Yeah.
I'm very confused on what he states about Yuma PD because my understanding was Yuma PD gave the family the police reports and told them to read them so they could understand that it was a potential unaliving attempt. That's my understanding. And there has always been an investigation. There was never a closed investigation. The initial police report that people got and posted that everybody was so upset about was just that, as an initial report. However, it's still ongoing.
Yeah. And I know that your ex-wife was very upset. Very upset.
I wasn't never married before.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you weren't married.
No problem.
Yeah.
You just heard Marvon Sr. correct Molly that him and Letitia were never married. They were together when they were young teens. Letitia was 14 when she had her first child. That's why Marvon ended up being adopted by his great-grandparents.
Okay, so I know that Miss Letitia was very upset to find out that they were only there for 31 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
I will come out and say that the police department only being there for 31 minutes is concerning to me also. But my concern is because nobody laid eyes on the children and made sure they were okay.
Oh.
Down there, she wanted to come down there, but I told her that don't come down there because I heard from someone told me to say, well, your son might be supposed to be moving to go to another hospital, and they weren't going to tell us because she didn't. His wife didn't want us to know what she was going to have or whatnot. So I told his mother, "There ain't no sense in you coming down here if you leave down because she didn't want to come down here." But I told her just to wait because she would have flew all the way down there, and then she wouldn't even been able to see him if he would have left, like he already had left. So I told her just to be patient and just wait till I get back in contact with her. And the good thing she didn't came because he had not got moved to another hospital.
Marvon's stepmother was reaching out to his biologic mother, Letitia, and giving her updates while they were in Arizona. In this one, you will see that Letitia actually tells the admins of the Justice for Vaughn group that she found out once again they were moving Marvon. After this move from the VA to the next facility, I get a little curious why the family posted that name of the facility on social media, as it seemed to intensify the demands, and all of the followers started calling places and trying to hunt down Marvon's location. I don't really understand that yet, if they already knew.
Do you think she keeps moving your son?
Because she don't want nobody to get in contact with him. Because that's what she's been telling a lot of people, that his family didn't care about him. But when I got down there, me and my wife got down there, I know she was surprised to even see me there. Because she looked like she seen a ghost when she seen me.
Really?
So she want everybody to think that my son don't have nobody to care about him. But my son was trying to get down here to see us because I talked to him on the telephone. I used to call him like every weekend. I used to talk to him on the telephone, and he said, "Pops, whenever I get me a ride to get my RV down here, we gonna come down there." So all of a sudden, this happened. So I ain't no rocket scientist, but I can put two and two together because it was like she was trying to leave to come down here. She didn't want him to come down here to see his family because he came down here in a while anyway. But we just used to talk to him on the telephone. And I see my grandson like one time that when he had first brought him down here when he first was born.
As you hear Marvon Sr. state, they have had very little interaction with Dre over the years. They've only met her a few times. They've only met their grandson one time in the past, and that was 6 years ago.
Her being older than he is, it was like she was trying to dominate him. And he was like, I could have seen it in him that he was trying to explain to me, but she was always around. And some situations that happened to him personally that she made him to himself, that she could have got herself fixed, but he did it. So because she said so. I don't know. I couldn't. He didn't want me to let his mother know, but I told his mother. But it hurted me when he did that, though.
What he's referring to is a vasectomy that Marvon had in 2016. Him and Dre obviously came to the agreement that Marvon was going to go ahead with having a vasectomy. Unfortunately, the surgery was botched. Therefore, he did get a settlement at the beginning of 2022.
You representing, he had a vasectomy, right? Did he have a vasectomy? And did he not want, because he only had one child, most men.
Yes.
Molly, you embarrassed about the question she asked? Because you sure asked the same question without understanding that he didn't want to talk about this situation and it was a private matter.
She said, well, Pops, she asked me to do it, so I just went on ahead and did it.
He
I was disappointed, but he's a grown man, so he made his decision.
Obviously, even according to Marvon Sr., it wasn't like he was forced to do it. He made the choice.
Do you have an attorney?
No, ma'am, not yet.
No.
I do not. We're trying, though. We're trying. Because, I'm trying to get someone from, like, the father among men. I've been telling him about it, and he said that he has a friend that is a lawyer, and he was going to get back in contact with me also. So he said it would probably be this week that he get back in contact with me, so I'm just waiting to see if that's going to happen.
Again, this was recorded August 1st. Incident happened May 23rd. They visited June 22nd, and still no legal representation for the family, and they're still trying.
You definitely need some representation with something like this.
Continual conversation and questions about attorneys representing the family is kind of maddening to me. It brings up, what about the adoptive parents and their rights? Bio rights override those?
She be trying to make him explode.
Was he violent?
Ma'am?
Was he violent?
No, ma'am. No? He never was. He really don't. He's quiet. He's quiet.
All we know of Dre and Marvon's relationship is what they shared with the public. That is what we know of their relationship. We don't know who was the aggressor in their relationship at all times.
Oh, if you could say anything to Dre, like if you could ask her any question or say anything to her, what would you say to her?
I would just ask her if she would just release anything that the doctors or anybody can tell me that I need to know about my son. And I want to really know what happened. That's what I really want to know, what happened and why.
Yeah.
First of all, if you hear a ton of background noise, it is storming here like crazy right now. So it is very loud, even in the quietest room in my house. I wish somebody would ask the Jacksons if they tried to communicate with Dre when they left the hospital, or if they attempted to set up something with Dre before leaving Arizona to go back from Georgia so they could continue communication with her.
I'm his father, but I know that's his wife, but I don't know how she can have this. I just don't know why they can still have just like a full, like she can have the say so over him, even in that position where he is in now. I don't know how she can have the full say so about what he wants, if he would want us to know what really happened or not, or if he want the doctor to release information to us or not.
Yeah. It's like more of a.
I really wish for this family that they could reconcile their differences and start communication for Marvon's benefit. This is all about justice for Marvon, but yet Marvon seems to be the last one anybody else is thinking about in this entire story.
And this right here is a picture of me and my son and my daughter and my granddaughter. I don't know if y'all see it.
Yes. Yes.
That was before he had went to the Marines. And he never was catching seizures or nothing at all because the Marine would let you in there if you was
Right.
and stuff like that. But
Right.
after he got with her, he started seizures just as well as they say that the kids now are catching seizures and all. So
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'll say it is obvious that Marvon Sr. loves his son very much. No matter if Marvon was raised by another family, adopted by another family, no matter what, that is his flesh and blood, and it's obvious he loves him.
Seizures at the hospital when you were there.
no, ma'am, no, ma'am. He
Okay.
never had seizures in the hospital. I was there, and they wouldn't tell me if he did or not.
Right.
Well, the hospital, the social worker told me that the hospital would they got a lawyer or somebody that could give me some advice on how to get information about how he's doing it. And I tried to get in contact with him, and they never called me back. While I was down there at the Fisher House, they never called me back. I kept leaving messages and asking the doctor to go get him, and nobody would give me no information on why she wouldn't call me back.
Like a patient advocacy?
I'm confused by why none of the social workers, the attorney for the hospital, all of these people that they've told him to contact and he has contacted, why nobody's returning his phone calls. I don't understand that, especially with these concerns.
Yeah.
You would talk to her, but when I talked to the head lady in charge, she wouldn't give me one. And she told me that they got a hospital lawyer, and she gave me her number, and I kept calling and leaving messages on the answer machine, but she never called me back when I was down there. Yeah,
Now, I had this-
they said she got power of attorney because I went to the police station down there in Tucson when I was down there, and I've been asking them questions, trying to get a police report and try to ask them questions. They told me she got power of attorney, so nothing they can do. They asked me where happened at, and they looked it up and said, well, it happened to human, so you have to get in contact with the human police in order to get all this information. So that's how I got the information, because I had to get in contact with human.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that the Yuma detectives were the ones to give the family the police report on June 24th, 2022. That is when Letitia Bias received her copy of the police report. Also, Marvon Sr. at the same time as he was there.
Wow.
That's very sad that you had to go through all of that just to figure out what happened to your son. That's how you found out he was in the hospital, was through social media, right? That's how you found out he was in the hospital?
Yeah. And I'm also waiting on one of his, because I had talked to someone, and they told me that one of his friends that he was in the Marines with was supposed to get back in contact with me. And I want to hear from his perspective of what was going on while he was in the Marine and everything, too.
Yeah.
He was medically discharged because of his knee, so.
A few of the men and women that Marvon McRae served with in the Marine Corps have came publicly and spoke about Marvon and their relationship with Marvon. And Marvon was medically discharged from the Marine Corps in 2018 due to a knee injury.
So to see if he was having any problem with his wife, but my son never told him that he was having any problem with his wife.
Right.
Even though it has been 4 years since Marvon has been a Marine, he's still kept in touch with some of his Marine buddies from the past that he was really close with. He had a very close relationship with a few different people that he served in the military with.
No, did you ever get to meet Raza? I heard
Who's
Miss
the
Letitia
baby?
say she never got to meet Raza. But did you, Raza?
Raza?
Yeah. The
Who
baby.
is that?
The baby. Bon's baby, Raza.
My grandson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You met him when he was a
I
baby.
got to meet him about 6 years ago. That's when he was first been born almost. Well, he was about 1 year old when I got to meet him. My son came down here. Him and Trey, they came down here to me and my wife's house when we were staying on the other side of town. So they came down here. That's the last time that I've seen my grandson or seen my son. But
Okay.
I was talking to him on the telephone because for some apparent reason he couldn't come down here or what, I don't know.
You can see in that clip the utter confusion on Marvon Sr.'s face when they're asking him about Raza. He's like, who is that? His grandson's name is Taraz. He has only met him one time before, and that was 6 years ago, as you hear him say in his own words. He didn't have a relationship like people assume.
How do you feel about these things that are coming out about your son being denied his own money and his phone being taken away? I'm sorry, I gotta ask.
Yeah, that's just another bill. I don't know if she was in it for the money. I don't know. I just hope that when it all comes, they just put a freeze on this money and don't do nothing with it until they really get to the bottom of it. That's all.
You just heard Marvon Sr. mention potentially hopeful that they freeze his assets. I am confused by that because they have a child together no matter what, and freezing Marvon's assets would definitely impact the children, his child.
Yes, but my son didn't want telling me about that because I be calling him in Atlanta and I be talking to him and he up on that stuff and all.
Wow.
Yeah, because he told me that he was trying to open an investigation on her about going across the border and all that. Because it's something like this here happened with her other boyfriend or something. I don't know if it was a boyfriend or husband. I don't know, but I found something. I think my son told me a while ago that she had a boyfriend or something like that before, and they been going through it like that before. So I've been warning him about it. So, yeah, I got it. Yeah, they said they were having complications, problems too with each other.
Because the family has been left to get most of their information from social media, a lot of the family's knowledge is gossip and rumors about past relationships, stuff that may have happened, may not have happened.
And Mr. Jackson here do have a PayPal. Do you guys have a PayPal?
I don't know. My wife do all that.
Okay.
I think my wife do. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she do.
Yeah. If anybody's willing to throw a couple bucks in a donation to help you guys get back out there.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Thank y'all. Yes, ma'am. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Y'all in the hand of the earth. So we appreciate everything.
The misinformation cronies have been fundraising on behalf of the Jacksons and Letitia Bias for what seems like forever at this point. It's been way over a month that they've been fundraising for these efforts, yet it's like nothing's really being done or followed through with.
I have a question for someone in the chat. Ms. Southern Belle, I need facts and receipts. These are all assumptions and allegations. Who are you, ma'am? May I ask?
There's a reason he don't have any facts and receipts is because he's not giving information. If he was given information from Dre or the doctors, he would know more. But that's a part of the problem, and that's why we're here publicly speaking, because this Von's parents are not getting information. So all we have right now is what he sees when he's at the hospital, what Miss Letitia is seeing when she was at the hospital. That's all we have. You know, that's all we have right now.
The facts come from the family.
Yes,
Please.
If I had any information, I would release it, but I didn't get no information. I tried to get information. They got she put a family pass up to her, put a family pass that no information, that she said no information was to be released. She didn't even want to see my son, so I'm glad of that they came to agreement that we had to see our son. She couldn't stop that, but she could stop us from getting any kind of information. So far as the information goes, we can't get no information from the doctor, but God at least bless us to let us see him so we can see what's going on with him face to face.
It's not.
All right, since you brought up the facts come from the family, then let's listen to Letitia's own words, since everybody is being hung up on the word incarcerated when describing Marvon Sr.'s current situation. That didn't just come out of the blue. Letitia herself used that term.
I know that I was told about you that you're a very hard worker and that you have to travel with your work and that, that you do great work. And I commend you for that. So I know you don't see all these videos, but
Molly, exactly what were you told about Marvon Sr.? And by whom? Because again, this is a text message between Gigi and Letitia, so I'm confused.
And the only person that knows the truth is her, who personally, yes. I can't trust her because I don't understand her, because she shows so many layers of personality. Sometimes she's fun, sometimes she's screaming, she's threatening, she's demanding, she's controlling, and the makeup, the wigs, yes. And I'm just like, yes. It's like being on a roller coaster. And all we ever wanted was for her to be kind to Miss Letitia, to be kind to this family. And the way that she treated you and your wife when you drove that whole way.
Sorry, y'all. I had to make sure that I was even watching the same video anymore, because I think Molly is attempting to describe Dre, yet, in my opinion, she's describing her and her actions more than anybody else, and a few other creators that she likes to hang out with. They all act like that.
You have to prepare yourself, because I do believe that this is going to be much, much bigger, especially because I do know for a fact that the press knows about this story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the biggest in true crime is just a phone call away from me. And he actually sent me a text in the middle of the night and said to me, Marissa, is there an update on Marvon Jackson McCray? And he said, is he still in a coma? He said, we cannot pick this up. We can't stop talking about it until either there's somehow,
an arrest or something.
Yes, like no speculation. They can't. But I know that when they jump, you're going to have to be prepared, because people are going to, reporters are going to be, just.
Yes,
and
I understand.
Yes.
I never thought that this would have hit directly at home, because I used to watch TV and the crime stories and the first 48 and all that all the time. I never thought that it would literally hit my house, hit my son like that.
No one ever does. Just remember, no one ever waits.
I love how they keep saying the story is going to get bigger and bigger, yet they're failing to understand that the story is getting bigger, just not the narrative that they've tried to paint it. Marvon deserves a voice.
Marvon had code words with you at one point or something, and they said that Dre and Marvon, I guess, was live one time, and out of nowhere, Marvon said "baby seal." Out of nowhere, nobody knew what it was about. Nobody knew why he was saying that. So I think people may be thinking maybe it was a code word that you and him may have used in the past.
Baby seal. I don't know what that means. I never heard that word before.
Okay.
Okay.
I was looking at Animal Planet, but I don't know what that means.
Okay, Marvon Sr.'s response right there to Elle's question about the baby seal, wherever she got that, People in the comments are always crazy and throwing out stuff. But his response about, yeah, I've seen it on the Animal Planet, that did make me chuckle. I laughed at that.
You can't. And I don't understand why the doctors, they can see wrong going on, but and then they still give her power of attorney over him. I don't understand that.
It's all legality.
I have to remind you again that this video was streamed on August 1st. The incident happened May 23rd, 2022. Yes, he's been moved a couple times, but I'm telling you that if those medical professionals would have thought that there was something going on, things would have already been in action. They don't sit around and let things happen.
The people out there are giving you hints. I think they're literally going like this to you. You know, I think they feel.
And there she goes with the awkward wink again. You're welcome for that zoom in. I figured you guys would appreciate that. Got to give you a little bit of an entertainment in all of this monotony that it's become.
They know how you feel. You know, and for them to say, do you want to continue with this? Whoa, that's pretty big, at least to me.
Yes, it's big to me too.
Yeah. Are you going to accept? Are you going to accept that Marvon was so out of his mind that he would get up in the morning, brush his teeth, take his vitamins, and then go out to an aluminum shed and put a rope around his neck?
I won't accept that. I can't.
No matter what the story may end up being in the end, or what the truth may be, if he tried to unalive himself or not, it's still a tragic story that should be treated with respect and dignity. This hasn't.
Because it doesn't make sense.
They don't. They don't.
You need to get legal representation. You got to seal that as soon as possible.
Yes, ma'am. That's definitely. And I am trying.
Are you working with Miss Letitia?
She had a lawyer, but when I talked to her, we're going to try to work something out. I don't know if we might have to get one together, the same one that she had.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. So we're going to have to work something out, try to come up together to get the lawyer together. Because we can work better together with one lawyer.
Yeah.
I again agree that if the family is seeking legal representation, that there makes no sense to have separate attorneys, except for the family does not get along. There's family drama. They don't get along. Marvon Sr., according to Letitia, hasn't been in the picture most of his life.
Doing the right thing and giving Marvon to grandmother and having grandma bring him up for a certain amount of years. I find that commendable. Some people think, what Dre's saying, you know, what she said, that she's an egg donor. That was very offensive. That was a horrible thing to do. You know, could she have aborted him? Yeah, exactly. And guess what? If Marvon would have ended up in the system, he probably wouldn't have been a Marine and such a gentleman.
I'm sorry, but what Molly said there was just unnecessary. There's absolutely no reason to go through all of that stuff and try to make it out to be something that it's not. Yes, she had options. She chose to put him up for adoption. We get that. We understand that. And thankfully she did. That was unnecessary.
Praying for your son and your family.
I appreciate it. My family appreciate it. And I know my son definitely appreciate it because the prayer is helping. Because now he's off the ventilator, so it is helping.
Is there anything else that you want to tell us? Anything that's weighing on your chest that you just want to get out there to the public? There's got to be something, because when your wife sent me that little video of you in the hospital, and by the way, I think it was very classy of you to do it in the hospital but not show your son.
Yes, ma'am.
That was very classy.
I just want to get more information. I want to be there with him. I just wish he was down here. I just wish he was down here and not so far away, because it would have been easy on everybody, the whole family.
I go back to, have they even tried to communicate with Dre? Have they reached out and sat down and said, hey, can we try to mediate with this and try to come to some resolution so they can get information? Because to my knowledge, all that I've seen happen is the family keeps coming to social media instead of going directly to Dre.
I just need to get more information, because right now I can't even call the hospital and ask them how he's doing. And me and his mother being back down here in Savannah, we can't even ask how he's doing because they're not going to release no information over the show.
No, the hospital is not going to release information to what they consider in the eyes of the law a complete stranger. Unfortunately, because of that adoption, that changes things legally. So Dre can withhold that information from his biologic parents. This brings into account adoptive parent rights.
Did he give family power of attorney when he was in the military? That would still stand if they have the paperwork. Do you know of that or no?
No, ma'am. We tried to require some information, but they said that they wouldn't release some information, not the military information either. They said they wouldn't release that. But they said that by him being married, she has all the power of attorney. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what the fact was, by her and him being married, because they did thought they were married at first when I went to the hospital. They would ask me questions if they really was married, and that's what I don't know. So the social worker told me that she found out that they really were married. So
wow.
that gave her full power of attorney over him. I don't know, because when I talked to the man from Family Among Men, he told me that in some states, that just because you have power of attorney with him being in that condition, don't mean that he gave him power of attorney over him not to have information released to the parents about what's going on with him now.
Again, it is my assumption that if Marvon did have to sign a power of attorney when entering the military, that he would have signed that over to his great-grandmother, his mother, his adoptive mother, and that was probably changed to Dre once they were married. That's usually how this stuff goes. It's not confusing.
Just take that abuse.
Day by day, with the help of the Lord, day by day, with the help of the Lord, I can't do nothing else. It's almost seeming like it's impossible, but nothing is impossible. But just because I'm not there, don't mean that I'm not trying. Because I'm still trying. As the days go by, I'm trying every day.
I'll tell you one thing.
Again, I would love to know all the different things that they're trying, and if they are making all these phone calls, why is nobody calling them back? That is concerning to me. If they are making all these phone calls over and over again to people and nobody is calling them back, that would be a huge red flag, and I would go above their heads.
He's a good person. He really is. He's a gentleman. That's the goodness. That's the only goodness that we have. But there's this evilness looming around. And I often wonder, how can someone so evil, how could they possibly have found him?
Like that. They done caught her in the wrong so many times, and they still let her have her way with them.
Again, I have to remind you, he is in a hospital. He has been in a hospital since May 23rd. He is under the care of medical professionals, nurses and doctors, high skill level ICU departments. This isn't something that they're just going to let slide under their noses and not say anything.
I don't think anyone really knows her because she's so unpredictable.
Nobody knows about the viewers that she used to put herself on the internet and everything, but then the viewers still don't know.
Dre isn't the only one that puts everything on social media. Obviously, everybody puts everything on social media, and here we are.
Else that you want to say to everybody while we're still here?
I just appreciate everybody for continuing to pray for my son and helping out the family. Y'all don't know how much it means to the family, but we do appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. And God bless every last one of y'all.
Thank you so much for coming on. I heard that Molly's doorbell rang, so she got up. So I just want to go ahead and say thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little bit of an update. I know you don't know a lot, but we do appreciate you even coming on and showing your face and sharing a little bit more about Marvon with us, because this is the only way we can find out information is, when you or Ms. Letitia get on here and tell us about him and tell us what happened.
You're welcome. Consider that your Friday flash from me. Well, actually, it's from Molly, but from me in my video, you got to see her bright lime green tattoos. But how unprofessional during an interview to be wearing no shirt.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. Thank you so much for coming up here and talking to us. And just know that we are totally behind you. We're going to keep on fundraising for you and your family. Miss Letitia, we're going to keep doing that. Me, Justin, and Elle. And it would be a pleasure. Are you with Wynette right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell Wynette that I'd like to send you guys out to dinner tonight so you guys can go get some steaks?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Hold on. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Okay. Get yourself something to eat. Go get yourself some lobster or something.
She's eating crab right now.
Oh, she's eating crab right now. All right.
I love crab.
Hi, Miss Wynette. All right. Well, I'm going to send you a little something to your cash. That's on TV. Oh, my God. Okay. God bless you all. Thank you, Miss Wynette. Thank you so much for this interview.
All right, y'all. Tell me what you think. Tell me your honest thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I would love to hear it. I want to hear, after the second interview now that you've watched with the Jacksons that Molly did, what are your thoughts now? Are they the same after you saw Katie's and Molly's first? Have they changed? What did you notice in the story that has changed? And the third one is coming up tomorrow. We will go over that all tomorrow. I can only handle so much of these voices in one day. And yes, my own voice changer voice is annoying. I'm sorry. It's just what we're dealing with for right now. In wrapping up, though, I need to remind you guys that, in my personal opinion, it is none of our business where Marvon Sr. is. Marvon Sr. did not come to social media and ask for help until after he had already been there to see his son. I have not heard Marvon Sr. himself ask for help out of his own mouth. Yes, they are fundraising for him. I'm not really sure what for, though. Nobody's been transparent on any of that. They have said that they want to get back out to Arizona from Georgia. However, I don't know if there's a concrete plan or anything will come of that. Yes, due to Marvon Sr.'s extenuating circumstances, of course, he will have to go through and make sure everything is even allowed for him to make the second trip. I do hope that whatever happens for all of this family, that they find closure at some point in time. All right, y'all, tell me what you think below. What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What do you think about the legal representation that they all continue to talk about that they need? What's that for? What do you think that them hiring attorneys now would be for? Have a happy, safe Friday night. Don't drink and drive. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow with, again, the third interview that MollyGoLightly did with the Jacksons. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. It really does help get my videos out. Thank you.